Hey guys, happy ChiroSushi Thursday. I am so stoked today to be talking about a tool and resource and also getting to know the team behind this resource. It's Titronics. You've probably heard the name, and if you haven't, we're going to dive into why you should. We're talking about a few of the folks in the industry that you might know that are using it, talk about the technology, how it can help you serve your community better, help you with your communication of communicating subluxation and chiropractic to your practice members in your community, and how it can help you pick up some dollars on the table. I'm joined today by this man who's been all around the chiropractic space, Dr. Dwayne Hoskins. Dude, you are my man. How are you doing, dude?
I am awesome, Tristan. Appreciate this
Hey,
opportunity to share Titronics with y'all.
well, I want to dive into Titronics, but let's first get to know a little bit about Dwayne and Dr.
Okay.
Hoskins. Tell me about your chiropractic journey and your chiropractic story.
Well, as my story goes, I swung at a fast high one in high school. It wasn't very fast and wasn't very high, but I missed it anyway and wrenched my back. And that was my introduction to chiropractic. My cousin's father-in-law was a chiropractor. He did the
Okay.
activator only, so I went and saw him a couple times, and I got better and didn't think anything about it. I knew I was going to be a doctor from very early on. In fact, my nickname in grade school was Doc, among other things like Helmet Head and Walking Webster, but that's another story for another day. So I knew I was going to be a doctor of some sort. I thought I was going to go in emergency medicine. So I went to the Harvard of the Midwest, Illinois Wesleyan University in pre-med. And spring of my freshman year, I met my wife, and she introduced me to her chiropractor and found a totally different world of chiropractic. He wasn't pain based. He was ongoing lifestyle based. And he talked about subluxation and interference and expression. And that intrigued me. It fit with my worldview. And so I investigated it further. When I did my due diligence on the medical field, I found out that's not where I wanted. I didn't
Yeah.
like blood. I don't like my blood. I don't like your blood. I don't like anybody's blood. I even like my steaks medium rare now, but used to like them well done. So, I found out that medicine really wasn't where I wanted to be, but chiropractic really fit my worldview and my passion. So we did a really, really deep investigation on the chiropractic schools, which is mean we chose the closest one to where we lived because we didn't know any better at the time. We just went to the closest one. And so I ended
Yeah.
up at Logan, graduated there in 92, and opened and bought my first practice in 93, and I've been going straight through since then. So 25 years in practice.
Beautiful, man. And in between being in practice, Dr. Hoskins also has served at Sherman Chiropractic College. He's developed his own software, Pure Chiro Notes. You guys can check out and learn more about that through talking to Dr. Dwayne. But we're going to talk about now the team at Titronics has brought you on
Hmm.
to a versatile role in helping to expand Titronics into the chiropractic community. Tell us about the Titronics story. What's the story behind it, and what is Titronics for people who don't know?
Titronics was developed in the 80s by Roger Titone in Iowa. He got introduced to chiropractic by none other than Dr. Thompson himself
Oh wow.
and Dr. Byron Brown. So he goes back to some of the pillars in our chiropractic philosophy and practice. Um, so that's where he got his start, and he was very intrigued with how the body worked, and they were enamored and interested in, Dr. Thompson had his own evaluation method, his own protocols, and being in the Palmer Clinic at the time, they used the NCM, and Roger's like, but it doesn't really graph, and so he started. Roger's an electrical engineer. He graduated from Harvard or some Ivy Tech college. He worked for
Right.
um, some high-end electronic firms. So we started playing around with how can we measure the temperature, paraspinal temperatures, which is the closest thing we have to seeing how the nerves are acting at that level.
Yeah.
It's a sympathetic response to the chain ganglion, so it's not specific to that level, but it's a pretty close approximation to give you an idea of what's going on. So we started playing around with that, and today we have, well, very quickly he developed the gold standard in paraspinal thermography units, the Titron scanners, and it's been the gold standard since he developed them. So we're at the stage now where we have two models. One's a USB and one's a Bluetooth. Um, they're accurate down to a tenth of a degree, which is, or I'm sorry, a hundredth of a degree, which blew me away when I saw them calibrated. But they're that accurate with the components they have. It was amazing.
So tell me how it helps. And obviously, you're a Titronic user yourself. How does it help in your communication daily with your practice, with your people, if you will?
Well, it takes a subjective way. I mean, we call what we find out as doctors the objective thing. We're objective. There's no bias. But we're trying to communicate with our clients, our patients, our practice members, whatever term you use, with our clients about why do you need to be adjusted today? Well, the only reason for an adjustment is a subluxation, and a subluxation may or may not have symptoms, but it definitely has an impact on the system. And so if I can demonstrate to them with a high precision instrument that there is a subluxation in the system, it increases their confidence in what I have to tell them about everything. So it's a very useful tool, but it also tells me when not to adjust.
Okay.
And that's probably more important than when to adjust.
Yeah, let's dive into that real quick because me and Dr. Hoskins got a chance to go out and grab a soft drink and talk a little bit about the importance of not adjusting because we talk so much about the power of the adjustment, but I want you to share your thoughts on the power of not adjusting and what that really means to you and what that
First of
should mean
all,
to this profession.
yeah, first of all, we can teach a blind elephant how to move a bone and make a pop. That doesn't make it an adjustment. An
Yeah,
adjustment only assists the body in the correction of a vertebral subluxation, period.
yeah,
So by definition, if there's not a vertebral subluxation, you can't adjust. You manipulate, or you mobilize, or whatever term you want to use. The trick in chiropractic is, first of all, understanding what a subluxation is, a vertebral subluxation.
right.
Understanding how to assess it so you can detect where it's at, analyze it, so you can see what the body's trying to do to correct it. So we can jump in and assist the body in the correction. We don't correct, the body corrects. We don't adjust, the body adjusts.
Right.
We deliver a universal force, and the body's innate intelligence, its only job is to adapt universal forces into an innate force to do its job. So
Right.
the body is trying to correct subluxation. So it takes my universal force, which I'm offering to it as help, and adapts that to correct the subluxation that's going on.
That's
Okay?
awesome, and thank you for sharing that. So back to Tektronix, and you said there's a USB and there's a Bluetooth one. Talk to me a little bit about the Bluetooth technology, because I'm assuming that means I can go off-site with that technology, right?
Yeah, you can go offsite with either one with a laptop. The Bluetooth allows me to, since the Bluetooth is distance sensitive, if I have multiple rooms, I can take the same scanner with me to multiple rooms, and it picks up the closest computer. And
Got it.
so, especially with the interference of the walls. So if I go into room one and my tech CA is there and she's already got the client's information pulled up, click and scan, it goes to that client's scan. I go into the next room, client two's there, same scanner, different computer, scan it. So it allows me to do that. It's also just pretty cool, and you don't have USB cords to trip over.
Yeah.
And it just makes for a cleaner presentation and cleaner use. The other thing is it allows you a little bit more freedom where your seats are at. So you don't have to have a scanning chair close to the computer. You can have it anywhere in the room. So it just makes for a cleaner setup.
But I was lucky. I was lucky and blessed to see you at DE, and I know there was tons of docs coming outside of Dynamic Essentials to go to your booth, and they were like, scan me, like little kids, right?
Right.
I have to
Right.
imagine that creates that kind of experience in your practice too. Do practice members become kind of trained on like, hey, doc, are you gonna scan me, and can we see them? Like, is that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. And they get to recognize their pattern too. And their pattern
Okay.
is basically my body's not adapting, and so I see this set pattern. That pattern is not adapting, and that indicates that subluxation is there. And
So
so
they
they
actually get a
recognize
really
that
better
pattern themselves.
understanding of what chiropractic is,
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And then
which is our biggest concern every day. We were joking offline about I wanted to do a prank show with having a fake new patient come into an office with like a camera in their glasses, and they go up and the doc's like, well, what are you here for? And they go, to connect above, down, inside out, and just watch the chiropractor's face go, you're real. Like we've been talking about you forever. But really, this is actually
there is
training
one.
practice members to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And those
So
clients do exist.
Talk to me about so one of the things at ChiroSushi Week we're not afraid to talk about business
Yeah.
and money and one of the things I also think that this equipment can help with is obviously that leads to better retention, which is another area of concern for chiropractors. What do you think the bottom line for the typical average chiropractic office if they were to implement, utilize, and truly utilize the Titronic system in their office? What do you see happening in that office over a period of time?
Well, as you pointed out, this is another tool in the education cycle. It's a high-end tool. It can be used in screenings too, but the high-end tool is it gets the client interested in their visit-to-visit progress or visit-to-visit status. Status is probably a better term. Am
Yeah,
I in pattern? Oh, I'm not in pattern, which means I don't need an adjustment. Great, I can't wait to check again to see if I'm still not in pattern. So it gets them uh, in their own processing connected to what you're doing, rather than just showing up, laying on the table, crack, crack, move, move, see you next week. So it gets them really connected at that level. Retention, as you know, the least expensive way to get a new patient is to keep the ones you already got,
right.
like a 1 to 100 cost ratio or 1 to 1,000, depending on who you ask. So the best way to grow your practice is not lose anybody.
Yeah.
So if you can keep everybody connected to their own care, their own chiropractic status, that's the best way to grow your practice. And so
And
that in and of itself, without billing extra for the scanning, without counting, that's definitely money on the table. Every time a family doesn't come back, what is that to you? 400 a month, 500 a month, 1,000 a month?
you're right.
If you can keep that family connected just by this one tool, it pays for itself very quickly, and the return on investment could be 100-fold in the next 5 years if you do it right.
Right. And the other cool thing is what I found was that when we started talking about the power of this technology is we typically in chiropractic it's always the first adopters that kind of go and start using the technology, and typically first adopters tend to be leaders.
Hmm.
And we want to, I want to say, well, I'll drop a name, Steve Judson, Dr. Steve Judson, Wake Up Humans. If you guys know Dr. Steve Judson, kind of is the proverbial face of DE now. And there's a couple other, industry leaders that are using, Peter Kevorkian is using the technology, former president of the IFC, former well, he is still on the board of the IFCO. He's on the board of Sherman Chiropractic College, one of the big power brokers in chiropractic, and big power brokers of keeping chiropractic vitalistic. And so when we see that these are the people that are using it, amongst others, and if you don't mind sharing a couple other people that people might know that are using the technology.
Um, Names escape me right now. I don't have the list in front of me.
Gonstead
Um,
doctors really like this
Gonstead doctors
technology, right?
love it because the NCM breaks are important to what Gonstead instrumentation's about, and we can keep that recorded on a graph, and we have an NCM emulator. But the Gonstead system loves what we do. Um, Even Markarian with his system, oh my goodness,
Myovision.
yeah, MyVision. They actually use our scanners. So that whole system has got our scanners involved with it too. So it's important in that system too. Um, Other than that, I can't give you any names because I don't have them in front of me.
No worries. But I
Yeah.
know there's some big names, and we'll be interviewing some of them down the road with ChiroSushi, so everyone's kind of aware of that and talking more about how they're implementing in their practice. So I want to thank you for this kind of first introductory. We're going to be having Dr. Dwayne on again regularly with ChiroSushi and featuring Titronics. They're one of the proud partners at ChiroSushi Summit. You'll see Dr. Dwayne at ChiroSushi Summit sharing more about Titronics and how you can utilize it in your practice. I encourage you guys I will have a link. There's a link above you can click and go to a landing page, and you can contact, I'll hyperlink for Dr. Dwayne. He's very accessible online if you have any questions about Titronics, want to learn more about how you can grow it in your practice. Dr. Dwayne, thank you so much for giving us some time today, dude.
We're excited about having sushi as part of our tribe and serving you guys